photography allows me these deviations, allows me to do whatever I want. Working at dilapidated or abandoned places or places that you would not normally see beauty in is sometimes going to make the most striking photo. The black and white lets the viewer see the vision, the idea, the mood that I'm going for.
Welcome to Talent Freaks. I'm Andy, a filmmaker and photographer based in the Bay Area of California. I'm excited to bring you this episode. We recorded at Dave Herring's epic Eastern Sierra photo meetup in the California desert. 40 creators gathered there this year, just like last year when I first met Troy Booker. And I really wanted to do something special for this podcast. I planned an anamorphic cinematic setup, but howling winds and the cold just killed it. So we pivoted, and Andrew Crow, an amazing photographer and creator at the meetup, offered his adventure van to capture the podcast. Not enough room for cinema cameras, but perfect for a couple of DJI Pocket 3s in a tight space. And Troy's story is pure inspiration. A lifelong pilot dream turned Navy aviator career, now an international commercial pilot who, in his free time while traveling the world, works with agencies and models to create amazing, beautiful portraits and stunning photography. His balanced life and down-to-earth vibe make every man's dream feel real. And to match Troy's style, I decided to keep the podcast in black and white. And if you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. It helps this creative community grow and means I get to keep bringing you more stories from the front lines of innovation and amazing, talented individuals like Troy. All right, let's meet Troy Booker. Thanks for joining me on Talent Freaks podcast.
Thank you.
Really excited. Last year was the first time I got to know you. We didn't even talk or anything, but I got to see you and the work that you did, and it was on my radar. And I was like, this is really cool.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. And Dave, of course, being the connector, to everything.
Oh, yeah.
He was just like, hey, Andy, you should do this. And
yeah, he brings the creatives together. I love it. I love it as well. And likewise, I have a lot of respect for what you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So, first of all, tell us about, I saw you because of your Instagram and the work that you do with models, but your story is pretty deep.
Yeah, when I combine my profession as a pilot with my creative side, which is being a photographer, it's like the symbiotic relationship with my professions or my passions, my endeavors. So it works out pretty well. So I'm able to bring my cameras everywhere I go, whether I'm working or not. And then the job allows me to have freedom with time off, and then also inexpensive travel due to my travel benefits, So yeah, it just helps me go to places that most people who are on a photographer's budget, for example, probably wouldn't be able to do unless they had some amazing contract. So yeah, it's worked out very nicely.
So take us through like a month. We're going to be going back and forth throughout this whole thing. So take me through like a normal schedule for you. Like let's say for a month of April or May, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I try to build my schedule where I'll have a larger block off. And what I'll do, because my trips are fairly long, what I'll do is I'll put those as close together as possible. Then now I've reached my maximum pilot time for that month. And it's going to allow me to have a block of days off from then on.
Oh,
and so now...
So that's part of your plan. You're like, I'm going in there. I'm going to use some free time.
So I'm going to build that schedule because, I still have to pay for my living as well.
Yeah.
So, or the other option, now that I'm not as senior as I was before I moved to a different position, I've been the left seat of the Dreamliner. So I'm a relatively junior in this seat as opposed to the senior position I sat in another seat as a pilot. Now what I do is I try to at least give myself the weekends off. So with my goal, I'll try to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'll have a block of time off. And whether it's me shooting down to Key West to be able to shoot there or hopping one of our flights to Europe and then being able to do photos there. And this is just purely for my own passion and enjoyment at the moment, but this summer my book will come out. And I think my book is going to be the encompassing, the one thing that's going to tie it all in, make it make sense, I think.
That's amazing. So what came first for you? Was it the photography or the flying?
The passion for flying since I was a child.
Oh, wow.
It's there's anyone who knows me since I was very, very little. I was going to be a pilot,
Mm.
and then I knew I wanted to fly military jets first, and I saw the movie Top Gun, so I was like, man, now I gotta land on the aircraft carrier. So I did all that, got the chance to land on the aircraft carrier, get a full military career as a reservist and active duty. So active duty, then reserves.
Mm.
And what the reserves allowed me to do was blossom with my photography
Mm.
because now I was a part-time airline pilot and a part-time military pilot. I started my photography with aviation. So to answer your question there, the aviation came
Oh,
first,
okay.
and then aviation photography. And then from there, I was fascinated by anyone who could shoot portraiture, anyone who could shoot people.
Mm.
I had some inspirations like Helmut Newton and, you know, Rodney Smith and these types of photographers. I was inspired by them, but I just didn't think I had that creative mind. I thought I was always the engineering, the more technical mind. But it was positive reinforcement from other people.
Okay.
And then as I built the confidence, now I feel like I belong in the, you know, portraiture world and shooting people.
So who was the first model for you? Who did you trust? Like,
Yeah,
because I know I can imagine that'd be very
it
nerve-wracking.
is nerve-wracking because you don't no one's going to have their first model
Mm.
be a model. It's usually going to be someone who's in your family or someone. For me, it was I was in a relationship with someone very beautiful, you know, model, so that I built the confidence from someone who knew what it was like to have their
Oh,
photo taken
okay.
and then turn to me and say, "My best photos are made by you." I was lucky enough. I had a ballerina, dancer, model, and girlfriend at the time, and she would motivate me to get better because her standards were here. If I didn't get her at this proper position, if the lighting didn't look right, she's like, "Well, you know, we can do it again." But the thing is she gave me the confidence that I could do it and that
Hmm.
I was doing it. And then when we grew and started working together, she had the patience to always make sure it was exacting and that the work was nice.
Do you think you would be where you are now without that guidance?
I think from her, from other people as well, I can point to a photographer friend of mine down in Key West. Her name is Romy Burianova, and her work from the very beginning was something that inspired me. In fact, I did some underwater photography as a subject for her. She put me in my pilot uniforms underwater.
That's so cool.
And that's what I said. And that was the motivating there. That was the motivation there, is to have someone be able to have this vision and execute it to a level like she does,
Hmm.
just took me to a different level. And the best thing is she has the patience because I can remember the first few of my photos that I thought were good that I showed her, and her patient reception and her patient corrections
Mm.
at that time. Uh, that is just so valuable. I cannot say enough. So people like that, I think, even more so than, for example, like you were saying, having a model who has the patience to work with you. And then along the way, as I gained confidence, I started shooting with different people, different models, different situations where you start getting this confidence. And then all of a sudden, my own ideas and my own ambitions start to pop in there. So, yeah, it's
And
been quite a ride.
today I was lucky to see you in action,
Hmm.
and we're in the middle of Keeler, California, which
Hmm.
is pretty much a ghost town, but not really. There's still some residents that live there. And I saw how you were working with models, and we're in this very unique kind of
Hmm.
desolate area. Like, what attracts you to those kind of locations and then create beauty that you do
Yeah,
in your
that's
photos?
actually my style tends to be like that. As much as I love working at the typical beautiful place that everyone like, I'm going to go to Iceland and I want to go to Hawaii and I want to do working at dilapidated or abandoned places or places that you would not normally see beauty in is sometimes going to make the most striking photo. And a place like Keeler, there's a wealth of things to find. And And to be honest, I didn't see it
Mm,
at first. Dave Herring, when he first invited me last year to these events, I got to shoot around a bunch of the landscape photographers. I got to look at their work and look at what they were doing with this
interesting.
area that you would never, you look at it as if you look at the town of Keeler from standing away,
Hmm.
you're just like, oh my God, it's a junkyard. But then when you go to the individual pieces and you tie them in with the environment behind you, that's when you gain the appreciation for working with environments like that.
Yeah.
All I had to do was now apply my style of photography, insert a subject, a human subject, into that landscape subject. So when everyone asks me, oh, you brought models to a landscape photography meetup, it's valuable for me to do so because I'm taking that eye for landscape that all these landscape photographers have, and I'm gleaning some of that knowledge so that my it elevates my portraiture ability. So yeah, I want to put my subject in that, but I still want people to look at that environment and go, "Whoa, is that a an antique Cadillac? And look at those mountains back there."
Yeah.
I still want that, and it's funny. A lot of times the models don't see it
Hmm.
until they see the photo, and now they realize that now they're actually popping from that situation as
Yeah.
well,
You're adding
because it's
beauty to that.
unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unique. It's different than a model who's just going to sit with a plain white background,
Hmm.
or a New York City background, the typical beach setup. Now you're taking her and putting her in an environment that she never even envisioned.
It's
So
interesting you talked about like, seeing all the landscape photographers, and I'm glad you said that. Because
I can
me,
drink, right?
yeah, yeah, drink, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
very
I'm
good.
gonna drink
Cheers.
too.
Cheers.
Cheers. Um, mm, Dunkel.
Thanks. These are great.
Yeah. And I'm not a natural photographer. My background is documentaries, and
Hmm.
so I'm learning too, with them. And I'll shoot astrophotography because I love seeing the stars, and I don't need some like a model or somebody to kind of
Hmm.
guide me. I could work on this and do it later. Same with landscape. But watching them, I'm like, oh my God, I love how they're, kind of putting things together, seeing it totally different, even
Hmm.
like angles and partial. Also, as a filmmaker, my background, for my brain, I need to see the whole thing. So
Hmm.
like a car front, that's kind of cut off.
Hmm.
I want to see the whole car.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So it's hard for me to do
Yeah,
that.
and I was just telling one of the other photographers out there, I can shoot with three photographers, and I'll use Romy again as an example.
Yeah.
We can have basically the same gear, almost the same focal length, pretty much the same setup with the same model, same lighting, everything's the same. Our photos will be completely different. Oftentimes, I'm like you, I'm shooting out here,
Hmm.
and she's shooting in here. And sometimes I don't even know how she got the photo. And then she's dangling stuff in front of her lenses and she's
Oh
changing,
yeah.
and I've shot with a few people who do these kinds of things, and I'm just blown away. Like, did she just put a prism in front of her lenses? And I'm never going to be inspired to shoot that style.
Sure.
I do like a little bit of a cleaner style than that, but it's that vision, that freedom that my profession doesn't allow. My profession's very structured. My profession's, you do these things, you say these things, and if you deviate from that, you're either going to get in trouble
Mm.
or you're going to hurt someone. While my photography allows me these deviations, allows me to do whatever I want. So if I see someone shooting a particular style and I want to incorporate that, look what I just did.
That's
Look what I
freedom.
just learned.
That's talking to a lot of artists, and the ones who are really successful, one of the hardest things for them to do is to deviate away from what made them
Mm,
successful.
yes.
And so when they're working on a new project, a lot of gallery owners would be like, "Why are you doing that? This other work sells."
Hmm.
And as a creative person, you're like, "Yeah, it's great to see that, but I want to keep growing. I want to do something different."
Yeah, there's a few schools of thought with that. There's some people who will preach finding your style
Mm.
and sticking to your style, and you'll end up being, for example, I just mentioned Rodney Smith being one of my heroes,
Yeah.
one of my he has a style. Like you look at that photo, you know who made it. Helmut Newton, you know who made it. But when you look at other photographers down the line who have, you know, Jean Cartier-Bresson, for example, he went from shooting animals to people to still life
Mm.
and still had the same passion for the photography. He was able to take different styles. Another example is using different cameras.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard so for an Ansel Adams who says, "Oh, I want to use this same camera all the time," but then all of a sudden, this Leica's not bad either. But primarily, he would shoot on the same platform for that period of time consistently. For me, part of my passion is the gadget. I'm a collector. I love collecting cameras. I love trying out new things. And I think I'm inspired by trying different things. So I think I'm a little bit of a, I'm going to say I'm a maverick on this, a little bit of a wild card in it, but because I do like to experiment with different styles, I will be inspired by a plain background white
Mm.
photo, black and white photo with a cool shadow aspect. And I'll also be inspired by shooting a model on a cliff or on an airplane or something like this. I'll shoot film, I'll shoot manual focus, I'll shoot Hasselblad Leica, and I'm inspired by the process, the gadget, the look, the different vibe there.
They're all so different too.
Also different, you know, and I think this recharges my creative battery
Mm.
to not be typecast. I know some others inspire to have a style where when you see their photos, you say, that's an Andy photo. I know it. You know, Dave has a style.
Yeah, he does.
Dave has a style.
Yeah.
You look at Dave Herring's photos and you're like, yeah, it's probably Dave Herring. And I'm not kidding. And
Yeah.
because he, and so, that's great. I respect that. It just doesn't work for me because sometimes I like to branch out and shoot differently. And now I'm saying that, and other photographers will go, "Oh, I saw this photo. I knew it was yours." I don't
So
know why, but that's true.
I see a lot of black and white. So tell me about like your passion for black and white, and what do you see differently than color?
Okay, this is actually an important aspect of my photography and the gear that I choose. And I want to start with the gear because I do love shooting with the Hasselblad. I love the ergonomics. I love the files that I get, and I do love the color science that I get. But when I'm composing that photo, I will pick up my Leica every time, my Leica SL2 or my Leica Q2, because I can see in black and white. I can go to a JPEG mode that has black and white that I'm composing and seeing in black and white. Hasselblad doesn't allow me to do that currently. And that's a request that I'd be making till I'm in my grave if they never do it. Because being able to see shadows in light is how I make my compositions. I want my subject in that position with that light, with the shadows, to make that picture, for lack of a better word, that I have in my brain matched what I have on the gadget. If I'm seeing a color image, you get a little bit distracted by colors and you find yourself not seeing exactly what you're really trying to achieve. And I'm going to use Rodney Smith again for this example. If you look at his stark black and whites, you'll see the subject so clearly and you understand what he's trying to do. You can understand that he's seeing in monochrome.
Wow.
You can understand it because he's eliminated a lot of distractions. My favorite photos have an extreme amount of negative space. I love negative space and I will incorrectly place that negative space at times, but for me, that different usage of that negative space is what separates my photography from what would be a basic by the rules photography. So people may criticize it, but for me, that's the photo that satisfies my eye. And so to answer the question about why black and white or color, the black and white lets the viewer and lets me see, I just tapped my mic, and lets me see the vision, the idea, the mood that I'm going for. There's some color photographers who can, you know, who can say that. Who I look at some of their photos, Eggleston, for example, and you're just like, whoa, his colors are amazing,
Mm.
So, and I get it. I just don't have that, you know.
Are you a big editor, or are you just like, you shoot it and this is the way it's going to look?
Combination of both.
Okay.
I have a definitely appreciation for people who can edit their photos and make them look amazing, and I do eliminate some distractions, but I leave distractions that a lot of people would eliminate, and I've had this happen. Why did you leave that sign there? And in some cases, I'm have that urban feel where I just felt like it had something. Or why did you leave that branch going across her face? It's like, well, because I wanted to feel like she's actually in the forest,
Yeah.
and you're viewing her from the other side of a tree. So yeah, there might be a shadow or a branch or something in the way, but when I composed it looking through my lens and the vision that I had for this photo, that's what fit.
Well, I
So I'm not
heard
going
you.
to sit at my computer
Yeah.
and then go, wait a minute. Convention says I should eliminate these distractions so I have a cleaner subject and a cleaner background. Then I just feel like I'm missing that original idea and mood.
That's interesting, because I saw you do that today. You mentioned about that, like with the street sign.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I want to get that in the background because it's urban meeting
Yeah,
the area.
yeah. You look at this abandoned, almost abandoned town that's dilapidated, but yet you have this clean looking, very structured street sign, green,
Hmm.
which is going to be black and white in mine, but in my composition.
Yeah.
But it says clearly in perfect lettering, and it's clean. It's very, but then everything else is so broken. Now you have the nature behind you. You have what man has done to destroy it. But then you have this properly set, sign there somehow, and you heard me say it, somehow that jumped out at me. Like, this is what anchors that photo. This is what kind of brings it all in. Maybe it doesn't make sense to use something like a sign to somewhat anchor the photo, but I think that's what caught my eye, where I say, yeah, this background's amazing. And
Mm.
we have all this cool stuff in the foreground and background as well. And I have this model. But what makes the difference is that street sign. I don't know why. It might
It's
not work.
It might not,
It
but
might not work, but
I
that's how I
love the
saw it.
idea. It made total sense to me when you
Oh,
mentioned
good,
it. I was
good,
just like,
good.
yeah, that
The
makes
model's
sense.
looking like, what? Just make sure you get my good side.
Which is every side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, Something you mentioned about Ansel Adams that really struck out to me was something he said, that some of his best photography was he never planned. He would
Mm-hmm.
just go places and find it. So no, he didn't like location scouting,
Yeah,
doing those things. He would
yeah,
just travel and be like, "Ooh, let's get out and do that." I
yeah.
love that approach,
So do I.
especially someone who is as accomplished as him and kind of like, the goat of landscape photography.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you taking away from these things? Is this kind of like an educational, for you
Yeah,
to,
it's educational. It's camaraderie.
yeah,
I think what you mentioned about Ansel Adams, I take part of that and I put it in my little sack of experience and knowledge as well. But I can tell you one thing: I do like to scout.
mm,
But the perfect, and I have people who've scouted for me. Like, for example, this
okay,
today.
yeah,
But on the way, if I see something, I'm going to stop and I'm going to get out. And we did that today. My last Namibia trip, I had the option of having a guided tour or self-drive. And self-driving in Namibia, Africa, is an aggressive proposition if you want
yeah,
to do it. But I studied it. I went and drove the car that the vehicle I was going to be using, and I had a satellite guide. So in case I did get in trouble, I had that. The reason why I did that, if I'm the guide, I know the guide's going to take me place to place, and he's going to take me to all the places that you want to see.
mm,
But those aren't my best photos from Namibia. My best photos are when my two models, who are also photographers, as we're driving along, we see something inspiring. We hopped out of the car and we made compositions based upon what inspired us at that moment. So for me, I think what works for me is I will have an idea, I'll have a shooting plan, but I won't be handcuffed to it.
mm,
I'll allow myself to adjust and unfortunately, I find a lot of my best work comes from that. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a inconsistency with old Ansel Adams himself.
Oh yeah.
Not with him, actually, but what people think of Ansel
Hmm.
Adams. Often people will say, nowadays everyone's using Photoshop and they're manipulating their photos. Back in the days, you had Ansel Adams who just showed up with a camera and took the photo. Well, that's actually not true. The reason why it's called Photoshop, because guys like Ansel Adams learned how to get into the shop and say, you know what? I might be able to take the sky from this photo and
Mm.
put this photo together as a composite and make a photo. And Ansel Adams did this. He didn't do it so much of an extreme like that, but he did a lot of dodging and burning. He was an expert for dodging and burning. He said that, and I'm not probably misquoting it, but what he did in the dark room made up for the shortcomings that God offered in his photography because he didn't have the proper light all the time or the proper sky.
That's true.
But with some dodging and burning, all of a sudden you have this amazing image where, wow, how did you get this perfect sky with the mountains still jump out at us? And
But that's also being creative too.
it is. It is, and the retouching is an art.
Yeah.
You know, I would say I respect people who are able to make the photo and then make the photo special
Yeah.
when you're presenting it in whatever form you decide to present it, whether it's on social media or a book or an exhibition. I also respect a person like Vivian Meyer, who just
Hmm.
walked around with a camera and snapped what she saw, didn't manipulate it at all, and now she has this amazing images. And I can respect it. It's just not my style. I once again, it sounds like I'm a little bit of a waffler, but I have a hybrid of that. You know, although I do like my images to come out of the camera, sometimes I'm going to delete that piece of paper that's sitting there in the background so I can clean it up a little bit, or
I
that
totally
those
get that.
footprints in the sand. You know,
Footprints in the sand.
footprints in the sand.
When you work with models, what do you look for in a model? So take me through this process because you do work with models. You
Hmm.
get your
Yeah,
professional
primarily
photographer.
women. I think I do work with men if I have the right inspiration to do so.
Mhm.
My dream is to be able to be one of these people who can say, you know what, I want to travel around the world and travel around the country and shoot all of the Vietnam veterans,
Mm.
all the Gulf War veterans, and make a book out of this. I just don't have that skill set. I don't. When I look at photos like Platon, for
Mm.
example, where he can take a very simple image of an old man sitting there or some diplomat, Queen of England, whoever, and make an amazing portrait. I just don't have that. I would want the Queen of England to go stand on that mountain over there because I,
Oh,
I
please.
can't tell a story with the person
Yeah.
like that. So you were asking me why do I choose models or how I think maybe how I
Yeah.
choose
Yeah.
models?
Because you work with them. Like,
Right. For me, it's someone who's inspired to work with me,
mm,
someone who fits into a particular shooting plan that I'm planning to do, and someone who has that motivation. This something like the one of the women that I'm working with on this trip, she was out of this world excited and she was like, "Oh, I love your work," and she's been in my photography. So taking her along, it's like, and you saw her the way we work together.
mhm.
It's like, oh, yeah, do this, and I was just gonna ask you to do that. This kind of thing, you know. She feels the light. She knows that really helps. So if I can get an inclination that a model has that connection,
Mm.
that's my model. Sometimes visually, I'll see someone, I like that person's style. That's my model. I'm going to Iceland. I need a model that can shoot in cold weather. How am
Yes.
I going to pick a model for that?
All
I'm going
right.
to pick
So
a nice.
there are levels.
There are levels. You
Yeah.
know, because you cannot take, contrary to popular belief, you cannot take every model or even the best model in the world and put her into every situation.
Mm.
Sometimes I don't want the most conventionally beautiful person for a composition. And it's not that it'll be distracting. In some ways, I guess you could call it distracting. Sometimes I want the story to be a little less about the aesthetic beauty of it while have it be more of the aesthetic storytelling of
Mm.
an image. So I don't want the perfect face and the perfect body. Sometimes I may want someone who looks different. One of my favorite models, fully covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
If you told me 10 years ago one of my favorite models would be fully covered in tattoos, I was like, yeah, I don't know how that's going to fit in my compositions. But she's an artist. Her look is very artistic. She looks like a work of art.
Mm.
And she inspires like you would not believe. I can put her in I can put her in a wedding dress and we'll make an amazing photo. Uh, we went to Burning Man and we made great photos. So it's it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic where I can tell you that the model I'm looking for is this, but then someone like that comes along and I'm inspired in a completely different way.
Have you ever just, I mean, outside of modeling, like
Mhm.
you see somebody, you're like, oh,
Absolutely.
and you
And
have you gone
that's
up to,
I have, and I've done this quite a few times. I've done it a few times where men and women, and this is where I find my male subjects. Usually it's not from male models, it's usually from men who I've seen. I'm like, I want to photograph you. Early in my airline pilot career,
Mhm.
I would photograph retiring captains.
Nice.
And I love that. I still think some of those are my all-time best photos because now you're getting a story with that
Hmm.
photo. And I mean it because, and I don't know if I can impart that with everyone else, but when I see an older pilot, especially someone about to retire, and I just hear a little bit about their history, I already have their story. So when I'm making the photos of them, I can look at them and go, this is a 32-year retiring airline pilot, former military fighter pilot, did this and this and this, and, just by that photo. So for me, those photos remind me of their actual story, and I'm hoping I impart a little bit of that story in the actual photo to people who don't know the individual.
Is that part because, I mean, obviously it's what you do and your
Mm.
passion, and you already know what it feels like to live that.
Hmm.
And then you're like, ooh, I want to get this out of them.
Uh,
Or am I
generally
thinking too
speaking,
much?
no. It's interesting you said that. Generally speaking, if I asked one of my pilot buddies to take a photo, they're gonna be like, "Hell no, I don't want to take a photo. What are you talking about?" Especially the older dudes. They're like, "Dude, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do? Put it on your Facebook?" So yeah, that's a challenge. So sometimes you actually have to sell them, hey, just stand there. Get in the middle of the engine. Just stand there right in front of the engine or stand in front of the airplane. Now stand very straight. And they're joking and then you're gonna get them eventually to settle in
Mm.
and they're gonna show you the real them. One of my favorite photos of a captain. He was sitting in a chair. He's retiring. He's a retired Marine Corps general
Wow.
and he's now a retiring airline pilot. So he's had an incredible career,
Yeah.
and he's a former Marine.
Mm.
So Marines aren't going to usually stand there and just have their photo taken for some happy little co-pilot photographer who wants to take a photo. But he was a great guy, and we had a lot of respect for each other. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, go ahead. My wife will probably love these. And I'm like, you got to wear your hat. He's like, no way. I'm like, dude, wear your hat. I got him to wear his captain's hat while he's sitting in the airplane. No one ever does this. So if a pilot ever saw this photo, they'd be like, dude, why is he wearing his airplane
Interesting.
while he's sitting in the airplane? No, why is he wearing his hat while he's sitting in the cockpit? No one does it. But I asked him to do it. He did it.
Mm.
When his wife saw the photo, she says it's his favorite photo. And everyone who sees that photo,
Now I got chills from that.
yeah, everyone who sees that photo, because that's your, you just said, you didn't know that. That's your vision of how a pilot sits in the cockpit. We're wearing our captain's hat and we're just flying
Yeah.
along. You don't know that we're just sitting there drinking coffee, monitoring a lot of times and not even wearing a tie. You know, we're very deconstructed, when we're actually doing the job. So to force him to do that was part of the challenge. And forcing him to do that helped tell his story. Now, as false and doctored as that may seem, it did connect with me when I see the photo now,
Hmm.
because now I remember the funny story of him going, dude, there's no way I'm putting my hat on. The people are gonna make fun of me. And the reaction of others, because now I remember, it's like, Troy, you kind of did a good job making him put that, making the general, telling the general what to do to put his
That's
hat on.
yeah.
Not easy.
No, but
No.
I think it's
Yeah,
I think a lot of it has to come down with connecting,
yeah,
connecting with people.
absolutely.
Because I'll even use my corporate work when I have to go in for a client testimonial. Like I'm coming in, these people, it's business, nothing personal.
Hmm.
So I have to kind of build trust, build rapport, and I have to talk about sometimes revealing some of my vulnerabilities in order to open them up a little bit, going like, oh, I could trust this guy. And
Yeah,
I feel like as a photographer, because you have to be very intimate with, or at least you're doing things that are revealing and other things.
right.
So they
Yeah,
have to trust you.
definitely, definitely. And it's interesting that you mentioned a little about yourself. That taught me a little thing about you, that you're not only about the creative side as well. You have a corporate life,
Hmm.
and your creative endeavor is something separate. And this is, the same situation with me, so I can relate. All right. Yeah.
Let's dive. Well, first of all, I want to say we're in somebody's van. We're in a camper van right now,
Very
doing
nice, Ben. I dig it.
a
I dig it.
beautiful van. We're in a camper
Very nice.
van at a photo meetup that
Hmm.
Dave Herring, mutual
That's
friends
right.
of ours,
Absolutely.
that put together, and he's a YouTuber, fantastic,
Absolutely awesome guy.
and amazing content too, and he cares about community, and that's the thing that I really appreciate about Dave.
Endlessly thankful for that connection.
Absolutely. And so we're now at a place where everyone's gathering here, and we're going to do this outside, but the wind,
Yeah,
and
that's
we
right.
just couldn't control the
That's
environment.
right.
So one of the people who is here at the gathering of the photo meetup,
Yep.
he said, hey, you can use my van. So very grateful for all
Yep.
the connections that we're making here.
Absolutely.
But also want to put some context with like, why are they in a van? Like I had an idea. I wanted
Why
to,
even a sprinter van?
I had
Is
this
that
like,
a bed?
it is, it comes down, like it
Yeah, no,
goes
I
up.
love this van is awesome. I love camping. I love to get outside. I love to shoot environmentally. And having a camper, using an Airstream like I do, going to Burning Man, getting outside,
I want
being
to talk
part of
about
that
that.
environment, it's a big deal. So I respect this. So,
So let's jump into Burning Man.
hmm
So when was the first time you went to Burning Man, and what's your
uh,
relationship with?
I used to go every other year because I had a military air show that conflicted.
Oh,
So whenever the Blue Angels were at the Cleveland Air Show on Labor Day weekend,
you're
I
the Blue
would
Angels?
go. No, no, I just had a lot of my former students and friends and for the military were part of that team. So we'd all want to show up and support them. And I bring a jet in and I do either a static display or just a simple flyby or something like this for the air show. But it was the people on the ground at that air show that made it special.
Hmm.
People who ran it. We had a guy named Dan Biggs. He passed away a few years ago, but Dan was the air show manager. He ran the whole thing. He was operations manager, and he took care of the military guys. He's the reason why we all congregated there. And then a captain who helped me get hired at this time at the company I was working for. His name is Gary Baker. Just an aviation nut. He'd fly his own airplane in. He'd bring the 737 from the airline and land it there. The
Wow.
company approved it, and he would land it, and he'd just have a group of other pilots who were just guys who'd be like, Troy, you should be an airline pilot. I'm like, no, I don't want to fly a 737 to Mobile, Alabama for the rest of my career. Because I didn't.
Yeah.
My idea at that time of an airline pilot would be someone who's flying a small airplane domestically and having that type of schedule. And I had no interest in that. I wanted to fly around the world or do interesting things. And it wasn't until they proved to me that I could fly wide body international right away that I made the jump. And I don't have any regrets for that. Burning Man.
Yeah.
After I was done participating in that air show, I started going every year. And that was the first one after COVID. And so now it's an every year event for me. And for me, it's not like the standard reasons why people go. Some people want to party, and some people want to go to the music, and some people, for me, it's connections with the art,
Mm.
connections with that community, and then being able to make my own photos and challenge myself to shoot in that tough environment, much like we're doing on this trip. Today we had snow, rain, wind,
Yeah.
and this is day one. Yeah. So these types of things make my photography special. And I'm going to tie Burning Man into another story that has to do with environment. I was doing, had a last minute pickup of a trip going to Christchurch, New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand, actually,
Wow.
Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm like, I don't know anyone in Auckland. So I messaged a friend of mine. Oh, I know a model there. I messaged her and she says, it's going to be blowing a gale here. We're not going to be able to shoot because the weather's going to be terrible. I'm like, huh. She's like, well, it's a beautiful beach. If you think you can shoot there, I'll do it. And I'm like, the photos will be dramatic. And I got online, I think I got on Pinterest or something, and I found a bunch of photos of windy hair. And I sent it to her. She's like, I'm down. She got another friend
Nice.
of hers. We went, and I love the photos. So, Burning Man is that environment
Hmm.
where I can make a photo that you immediately see the difference in the uniqueness of it because of the environment, the costuming, all that kind of stuff, the individuals as well. But that environment, sand, wind, stuff that people, we're not taking our, thousands of dollars gear out there.
Well, that's
But
funny
I
you say
do.
that. What kind of gear do you take out
I
there?
actually, so I'll go back to plugging my Leicas and Hasselblads. People
Okay.
say, are you crazy? You're bringing a Leica out to Burning Man. I bring my Leicas. So I bought the Leica Q2. I bring it because it's survivable.
Hmm.
It's the one camera that's going to survive the dust. And when I'm done with it, I have it properly cleaned by a professional. I don't change lenses. I'm smart about it, a little bit smart. I won't say that smart. I am bringing my cameras to this alkaline environment, this terrible environment corrosively, but I have them cleaned professionally and taken care of, and they make it every year. Cosmetically, they're beat up. I have I haven't brought this one, but the Q2 you saw, the reporter you saw, I bring it
Hmm.
every year.
Hmm.
And cosmetically, it shows like it's been through sand and it's got some, but it works.
It's character.
It's got character.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been there. So
Well,
yeah,
Burning Man, isn't that a place where people don't want to be picked, or is there?
that's true. So you have to be careful, and I don't want to make sure. I want to make sure that I'm not promoting photography at Burning Man.
Right.
For me, for Burning Man, the idea is you make the burn, whatever you make your burn, as long as it doesn't affect anyone else's burn or break any of the rules of Burning Man.
Hmm.
So I'm not randomly pointing my photo at people, and I'm not promoting products or I'm not even promoting my own photography. I'm just inspired to connect with people through the camera. So whether it's someone that I brought to Burning with me to make amazing photos there, or someone who sees me through the camera and goes, "Hey, can you make a photo with me?" and or someone I say, "Would you mind if I take a photo of you?" Then it works. What I would never want to be is someone who turns Burning Man into some kind of photography promotional,
Yeah.
where I'm the Burning Man photographer. I would never want to be that. This is my connection with that community, and it's also my gift to that community. So for me sharing my photography is my gift that I give back to that Burning Man community.
Man, I'm really enjoying this. Like, really getting to know you.
Likewise, it's good.
I mean, your personality, you're so approachable, but also like I can tell how you love connecting with people, but also doing it in the right way. And I think military has a lot to do
Absolutely.
with it. But it's interesting too, because I saw a huge smile on your face when you talked about the Navy, the military,
Hmm.
and the respect you have for everybody doing that, and the
Absolutely.
community with the military, how they take care of each other. Um, it's such a contrast too, from like military to photographer, at least in normal
Hmm.
standards.
Yes.
Um,
Most military people are fairly conservative, maybe a little bit more understated, not exactly trying to get their name in the paper or their photo on the next social media. Most don't even have social media because of Operation Security, OPSEC. I don't want to be putting my face everywhere because someone's going to know it. Understandable. I think, and even in my current job,
mm,
you will find most people will be more private, more reserved, not exactly making photos or doing this kind of thing. For me, I think I can glean a little bit of those qualities from those people, but I'm happy that I discovered my creative side
yeah.
and I haven't allowed those aspects of my life to stunt my creative growth.
Mm,
And that's a challenge because you don't want to step on anyone's toes. You don't want to come across as being someone who's all of a sudden better than someone else because of this. it's a challenge to make sure that you stay humble and you still fit in. You're not doing things that make you un unapproachable or like not part of the group. I still have that group mentality where I do want to fit in, but I am different. The photography is my difference. I am happy that I found a way to allow that to still grow, allow both to survive.
So
So,
part of the thing that I asked you earlier today when we were at the gas station, I was just like, what's your Instagram, strategy? And you're
hmm
like, I don't.
yeah,
What is
yeah.
Instagram to you?
It's just a way to show my photos. It's funny. I will talk to models and they'll say, "Oh, I need 3 more photos from this set because I want to make a series and it has to match my grid and all this stuff." And for me, I'm like, for some reason, I woke up this morning and I want to post this photo of this person that I've photographed or this particular photo, or I might have even saw oh, I've already posted today,
Hmm.
but then I saw a photo and I'm like, you know what? I want to share that too, and I just do it.
Just go out.
The freedom of if I embrace the freedom aspect of it, just show what I want. Some things are frustrating sometimes. Sometimes you'll have, some of the rules may be annoying, some of the censorship may be annoying, but I think overall I get a positive from social media because I don't let that be what my photography is all about.
Hmm.
My photography is what inspires me. And then I want to share what inspires me. And that happens to be the best platform, whether it's Instagram or whatever. That's currently the best platform. Coming out with this book that I'm going to hopefully have printed by the summer will hopefully allow me to have another avenue of sharing besides just social media or some of the small exhibitions that I've done. Because I got a printer. So you got to
Oh,
try
good,
this.
good,
If you
good.
don't have a printer yet, get a printer. I have a fine art printer, and it's a game changer. And I can tell you this, it's not only changed my appreciation for my actual photography, but it's changed how I shoot. Because now I know when I'm about to print something, I know I can't do certain things anymore because it makes my
Interesting.
printing process more difficult.
Oh, what kind of printer did you get?
I got the Epson, I think it's called a EP1000. It's a very good one. It prints A2 size, very large
Oh,
size,
wow.
and it's a fine art printer. So yeah, and it's smaller than you'd expect. Like I guess the previous generation would fill your room almost. This one is manageable
That's incredible.
in my New York apartment. So it's not.
That's the other thing is like you have these places like home,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to give it away
Yeah,
unless
yeah,
um, we're good.
yeah.
We know
New York, we'll go. Yeah, yeah.
it's New York. And I grew up in New Jersey, so
Mm,
my parents used to take me to New York all the time. My mom was an art teacher, my dad was an art professor, so art was very much influenced. And
hmm
I pushed back because I wanted to play sports. So
Oh wow, that's
I
funny.
rebelled
That's
against that.
funny.
It was
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
If there were sports, I probably would have pushed back with art.
That's right. Yeah, that's really funny.
So I have a big appreciation of that
hmm
as a foundation. But what does New York City do for you?
For me, the reason why I moved there didn't have anything to do with my creative life, to be honest. I knew that I could, with my airline pilot job, my profession, I would
Oh,
be able to
international.
get, yeah, flying international. I can go anywhere
Makes
around the
sense.
world. It
Yeah.
was easy. And then part of it also was all these interesting studios, endless models to shoot with.
Mhm.
I can get anywhere from New York around the world in a shorter period of time than, say, living in the West Coast, like
Yeah.
living out here. That was the reason. It's just a lot of options for travel, a lot of options for creative life, and my professional life as a pilot as well. So,
So tell me like your top 5 destinations. Like, and
oof.
all right, so
Okay, I can do it.
okay,
I think I can do it.
I think it's different because like even something like this. Oh my,
Not this van.
oh my
Is it sunny
gosh!
now?
Now look at that. That's
Okay, let's go. We
amazing.
got to get out of
Yeah, yeah.
there.
So yeah, give me your five.
Oh, look at these guys.
I know it's incredible. It's
And the girls are out there. I love it. Let's go.
yeah. Um. So yeah. So top 5 destinations and the reason why.
Iceland. I'll start
Oh
there.
yeah.
It's just, you're going to find so many wow places. Get in touch with nature, minimalism if you want it. And then sometimes you can just have drama. So, drama and minimalism. Those are 2 major goals that I'm going for with my photography.
Mm.
And drama and minimalism, and then drama with minimalism. I guess I could say it that way as well. Uh, wow, Namibia.
I've heard you say it multiple times.
Namibia is just it's just one of those places, and the people in Namibia, I really connect with. This the environment, the people, the
Mm.
nature there, the animals. I'm not an animal photographer. I never incorporate animals in my
Huh?
photography, but seeing zebras go galloping by in your compositions is pretty inspiring. Let's see, California, and I'm just going to use California as a state for a reason.
Hmm.
That's because in California, you have a little bit of Namibia, you have a little bit of, Iceland, you have a little bit of Alaska, you have a little bit of everything. You can be on the beach one day and you can be up here in the snow the next day. So I'll include California with that. Oh, New York. If you want urban, New York.
Mm.
I gotta find another one. Let's see. There's a lot of places that come to mind. I'm going to say Ukraine. The reason I'm going to say Ukraine is because the struggle that the Ukrainian people are going through, I'm touched by this. A lot of my friends are Ukrainian. But part of the foundation of my photography and my photography growth was the time that I spent in Kiev and Odessa, working with some excellent creatives, photographers, models there, shooting in beautiful environments there. I like to shoot somewhat of an urbex style, dilapidated and interesting architectural style, brutalism, a lot of that in Ukraine. But the people aspect of it. So when you're asking me about a place, I will also tie that with the people of Ukraine. So my last and final one would be Ukraine. So,
That's very it's very special. I'm getting a little emotional because I'm married to a Ukrainian woman,
oh wow,
and with two kids, and
wow,
so they came to America because of the war,
wow. I
and
have a lot of friends who did the same. Yeah,
she lived in Kiev, so every night she hears it from her friends, the reports, all the bombings, and it seems because it's going on and on,
yeah,
tends to get forgotten about.
yeah. I have friends from Mariupol and places like this, and it's just you know Kharkiv. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so Kiev, yes, tough. I understand that. But when you meet someone who's from a city that's completely destroyed, that's different. And once again, to mention Burning Man, a few of my Burning Man regular friends, two very close friends, their first burn, I helped them with their first burn, and then
Mm.
they're Ukrainian as well, and they decorate my bike every year, and it's always blue and yellow.
So you do have a bike.
Yeah, it's an e-bike.
Okay.
It's a playa bicycle. Yeah,
And part of that joke is you were wearing
my
this
motorcycle jacket. Yeah, they're
motorcycle
like, hey,
jacket.
you have a motorcycle? No, I just like the jacket.
A few more questions.
Sure.
One is, what is the most difficult thing about what you do?
The most difficult thing about what I do, and I think you're asking my photography and my piloting, like
Yeah.
like the combination of both. Uh, just making sure that one doesn't adversely affect the other. For me, it's not a challenge. My flying is here.
Mm,
It's everything. I'm every day thinking, studying, flying. I love it. I whistle as I'm packing to go to work
that's
on a trip.
amazing.
You know, there's no question about that. With my photography, the challenge is just letting the creative side blossom.
Mm.
Don't be afraid, to shoot a particular style because yeah, maybe that's not a typical style for, an airline captain or something. Don't be afraid of that. Just do what you do.
What would be a fear in
You
photography
know,
for you?
you never know. It could be someone's impression. It could be uh just people who want to typecast or stereotype.
Mm.
It's all the things, it's just even the question, why do you do this? You make so much money as an airline pilot, why would you do this? These kinds of things. It's just
It's a
so yeah,
judge.
so the challenge, and I think I don't think the challenge mostly comes from the creative side. The creative side, they're like, whoa, really? You fly airplanes too? Great. The challenge comes from making sure that I'm always at the top of my game flying,
Hmm.
so that no one ever questions the time that I dedicate to my photography. And that's big, you know. So, and anyone who's ever flown with me knows that, I love the flying and I'm very dedicated to it. But someone outside looking in may not know that. And the more notoriety or the more attention I get internationally or social media wise for my photography, there's always going to be those naysayers who are going to say, "Hey, this guy is doing all this photography stuff. When does he ever have time to be a pilot?" You know. And I'll before you even ask, because you're good at asking questions, how do I do it? Some guys have children and families.
Yeah.
Some guys have other hobbies. They're golfers, they're fishermen, they are building an airplane. Imagine someone who doesn't have that. I have photography. So when someone says, "How are you able to dedicate so much time?" Well, imagine I don't have 4 kids that I'm trying to put through college
Yeah.
or, raise and, help survive if they're a toddler, and a wife that's, you know, with child or something. Imagine I'm not building an airplane in my garage,
Mhm.
Imagine I don't play, 72 holes of golf every day. Take that time and apply it to photography. And that's usually the best explanation for how I'm able to juggle.
That's incredible. What about what is your favorite thing about what you do?
Favorite thing, flying. I love the gadgets, so I'm going to tie both of those things together.
Perfect.
I love airplanes. I love cameras. Boom. You know, put me in the Dreamliner, the 787. Put me in a Navy jet. Put a tail hook on it. Throw me out an aircraft carrier in the daytime. Perfect seas. That's how I do it. That is great. Give me like a digital camera and let me shoot black and white while I'm looking at it. Give me a Hasselblad that allows me to shoot this high resolution image that's going to come out and just dazzle,
Mm.
as soon as you see it come out of the camera. Give me a film camera from 1967 and let me use it. Let me have the click, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then wait, because I don't process my own film anymore. Wait for the lab to get it back to me, you know? And
Anticipation.
then,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think those are that's like a whole bunch of answers when you ask me what is my favorite thing. I gave you
Totally.
a lot of favorite things, but that's just how it is with those two endeavors. Is the gadget aspect of it is a big part of it. The results. I love being a pilot. I love meeting the people. I love the connections. Photography. I love being part of it. I love meeting the people. I love the connections. You see where I'm
Yeah.
going here? There's a lot of parallels that most people think that flying and photography are like this, but I think for me they're actually along a lot of similar lines and a lot of, things that I satisfaction. The satisfaction comes from I can tell you a story about flying. Oh, tell me about turbulence and people who text me, when they're nervous about flying. I get that satisfaction. And then from photography, oh, your photography inspires me. I'm a photographer and I saw what you did. Or I'm a woman. Would you ever be able to photograph me? So I gave you a lot of
Yeah.
answers
No,
for those
that's a
things.
lot of
A
favorites.
lot of
That's
favorites. Yeah.
amazing.
So,
And that actually brought up another question is like, let's say you go to, let's say New York City. No, let me preface this way. So when I go to Vegas, I get to Vegas and I look over and I see the mountains
hmm
and I'm like, I gotta get out there.
yep.
What do you like? When you go to a city, what are you looking for in that city?
I already know. Even if, like, let's say I was picked up a last minute trip to Vegas. Let's use Vegas, for example. I'm going to immediately say, how much time do I have free?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to shoot? I'm going to shoot. And do I have a model that I can photograph? Whether in Vegas or, hey, I'm going to Vegas for 2 days. Fly in, that's my thoughts. And I'm just like you. Sometimes I'm driving by something and I see it and I'm like, man, I wish I could shoot right now. I'm not a landscape guy, so I'm not particularly inspired just to go out and shoot a mountain
Mm.
or shoot, but I still have that appreciation for it. And this group
Yeah.
reinforces that appreciation. So let's go enjoy
Two more things.
two more things.
Two more
Okay,
things.
okay.
One is, where can everybody find your work?
Right now, Instagram. Right now, my book should be coming out by the summer, so be looking for a book. I have a publisher called High Water Publishing out of Belgium, and they have inspired me. They're a fairly new publisher, but he's a photographer, he's a retoucher, he's really got into the printing much like I have, and we're going to print. He's been working with some excellent printing houses,
Oh, nice.
so I'm excited to see what the product's going to be.
How much did you give them? Like, how many print?
Well, I haven't. We're still working on exactly how many numbers, but we're working on pages now and whittling down my large body of work. Yep. So,
Now, are some of these on Instagram? I mean,
yeah, some of them are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
On my Troy B Flying _photography Instagram.
And last thing is, what's next for you? And I know the book is coming out.
The book, I think that's how I would now want my work to be appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
I want tangible, I want permanent, and I want some way of, besides something that's controlled by some other entity, whether it be, whatever company who's running the particular social media outlet that you're displaying, or whatever exhibition where they control what photos they're showing.
Yeah.
I want to now say, this is my photography. This is my first book. This is my second book. This is my 22nd book of photography. I'm not going to do 27.
Watch what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Troy, this has been an honor, man.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes. Let's go enjoy our creative friends.
We got outdoors to go. So thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Peace.
Cheers.
Thank you, Troy, for joining me and sharing your incredible journey as a pilot and your stunning portrait photography. The kind of work that places models in unforgettable settings, from the desert and abandoned landscapes to New York City, Namibia, and from remote locations around the world. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, hitting that bell, and share it with your friends to help more creative minds discover these stories. Your support truly makes a difference. And be sure to check out Troy's photography on Instagram at TroyBFlying_photography. All those links and info will be in the description for easy access. And if you want to know more of my work, you know where to go. Visit talentfreaks.com, where you could explore some of my video work as well as my current passion for photography. And if you have ideas or guests that you'd like to see on the show, don't hesitate to reach out. I love bringing fresh perspectives to the podcast. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and stay curious.